The following content is sponsored and does not necessarily reflect the views of WATD Radio. Now, Paul Ponders on 95.9 WATD. Be a part of the show. Call or text 781-837-4900. Now, here's your host, Paul Solano.
Hi, good afternoon. It's not Paul Solano today. It's Arthur Boyle. And I have a guest in the house that I'll introduce later on. But it's been a crazy week. It's, first of all, 25 years anniversary for Tim McKenney here at WATD. So we congratulate you. And
thank you, Arthur. Thank you very much.
We ask if you're crazy for being around for 25 years. But
we're all a little crazy. Some of us are just better at hiding it than others, right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Well, we've got late scores from last night as well. The Silver Lake girls field hockey, a shutout. Silver Lake they played. I'm trying to read my handwriting here. They played Silver Lake and Pembroke in a nice rivalry, and it was 1-0 for Pembroke. And we have to acknowledge Maggie Driscoll, who was the goalie who pitched the shutouts. So we make sure she hears that. And the folks at well, here we go. We have a social vote score, 30-0 over the Pirates of Hull last night, and that was a late score coming in. So we'll take them and pass them along to the sports department, so you'll hear your names on Monday. We had some craziness go on in the country in the past 3 or 4 days. We're talking about the assassination of Charlie Kirk, a big wheel in the Republican Party, and I, as much as I am dedicated to being an active Democrat, I see nothing right with this situation as it stands. You'll hear this every day for the next several weeks as it winds through the process. But you don't settle, arguments with guns. It's just not how it works. We have, the ability to go back. Unfortunately, I'm almost 70 years old, and I can remember where I was when Jack Kennedy was shot. I can remember where I was when Ronald Reagan was shot. I remember watching the Monday Night Football game that was interrupted for John Lennon's assassination. I mean, this is insanity. You can't undo the damage that's done by the handgun, or in this case the rifle. It's just craziness, and I hope they're going to make an example of the gunman, because I often get in the debate of the death penalty, and you you can argue it any way you want, but there's got to be some exceptions to the death penalty. That being, if you're going to eliminate the gun laws to a great degree, if you're going to loosen up the gun laws, you've got to make it so that there's a stiffer penalty for, officers shot in the line of duty, people that are first responders that get ambushed. And, it's sad that we have to even discuss an opinion on this. And you can't have a society that's free and open like we do and not expect to get some throwback, but you can't win arguments with firepower. It's just not. It doesn't make any sense at all. And we'll leave it at that for now. But we'll discuss it over the next couple of weeks, I think, as well. And I know Paul is working today doing what he's America's busiest man, and he's got a restaurant function on the North Shore, and he couldn't be in two places at once, so he went down a long list of people, and I was at the bottom of the list, and they said, you can do the job, so I'll try to bring some justice to Paul's hard work and his guests will get to as well. We're reviewing we'll talk about we'll talk about Boston, not the Red Sox necessarily, although they're doing everything in their power to knock themselves out of the playoffs. But back to the death penalty issue on the speech that was given by Utah Governor Spencer Cox. He said he wanted to remind people that they have the death penalty in Utah and in certain circumstances, and this fits that circumstance. I try to be as liberal as possible to be fair to our public officials and safety officials and so forth. But until you're really willing to, do some gun legislation, you're not going to get anything but the results of what we're getting now. In Boston, they're talking about rent control. They should be talking about gun control. I mean, it's it's out of control. That when you keep statistics on guns and numbers of people killed and so on, it's crazy. And as I say, you can't remember what you had for breakfast when you were in first grade, but you can remember where you were when President Reagan was shot, and you know where you were when President Trump was shot, and that's a sad commentary. But let's take a break for a minute and pay some.
Well, actually, not yet. We talk to Shelley first, usually before we take the break, Arthur. In fact, Shelley Wolf is on the line. You want me to read the little script here for her, and then you take it?
Sounds good.
All right. And also, by the way, this is show number 41. Now it's time to talk to our Pod Pro Entertainment. Well, it's time for our Pod Pro Entertainment Techie Toolbox segment with Techie Terlonzo Amos and Shelley Wolf, global media firm owner of Toolbox Entertainment, vice president of technology literacy for Pod Pro Entertainment, and a past Paul Ponders podcast guest. Say that 3 times fast. Episode number 35. Shelley Wolf is on the line with us. Good morning, Shelley.
Good morning, Tim and Arthur. How are you all doing today?
We're doing pretty well, thanks. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Yeah, we were saying what a crazy week it's been. It's in your business. It's not. There's no violence attached. It's all fun and money-making entertainment to do what you do and to do it as well as you do it. Let me ask you, Shelley. I'm not a techie by any stretch, and people in my office will tell you that. But is there something a guy of pushing 70 can take and use as a practical day-to-day activity to get with the program, as it were, to be able to converse with your grandchildren and make it so that it's it's on equal footing, that you need some help, and I'm looking for help.
Are you looking for help on the tech side there?
On the tech side, yeah.
I think, from the tech side, Arthur, if you want to talk with your grandchildren, some of the things that one could do, besides obviously being in person, if you can't be in person, there are tools out there such as Google Meet. So if you have a Gmail account, there is something called Google Meet, which makes it very easy and free to communicate, not only through email, but the Google Meet is actually a video app within the system that would allow you to do video. Usually the young kids are pretty adept to knowing what Google Meet is. Usually that's what they're using in the classroom. So that's a great way to stay video connected. I think that's the one thing that's pretty unique these days, right? Like, we have these tools. I know when, I was growing up, those tools didn't exist, so I was not able to see my grandmama very much. She was in Kansas and I was in Illinois. So, unless we got in the vehicle and drove to her, we didn't get a video opportunity, where now it's instant. So you could do Google Meet on your phone, or you could do Google Meet within your, just on your computer or a laptop, tablet, or any of those types of technologies. There is Zoom. That's another digital platform people could use that stays pretty relatively safe. You can do up to 40 minutes for free. Google is unlimited time, so those are two things. Those that are on social media, I'm not sure if you're on the Facebook or not, but if you're on Facebook, there is FaceTime, so you can FaceTime, or if you have an Apple computer, that also allows you to do FaceTime through their applications. So those are, some of the easiest ways to have video conversations and see the grandkids. Are your grandkids local?
Yeah, they're local.
Oh, okay.
So we can see them by car as well, but it's it's nice to be able to see them face to face. And
absolutely.
I'm working right now with the group on my 50th class reunion, high school class reunion, and we're doing it all by Zoom. And they had to give us a 24-hour kick in the pants to get it all all the nuances of the equipment, and you're bringing something into the house, so to speak, and you're using it for the first time. It's a little intimidating.
It can be very intimidating. And again, just making sure, you're protecting yourself and not giving out information you shouldn't to different applications and stuff. Zoom and Google Meet, can be intimidating, but, I think the one thing just to remember is it is a way to connect, and it is, more and more people are becoming adept with using those tools. Zoom is really interesting, right? Because even since we had the pandemic, that is such a tool that people have leaned on to have communication. Like, there's conferences now. There are all different types of events that happen on Zoom, even though that we can still see each other. So I think even, as you're saying, communicating with your grandchildren and breaking down that, how do we use those tools and not be afraid of them.
Well, that's it. You bring in something into your home that you're unfamiliar with, and you're making it as comfortable as possible to be working with an 8-year-old on one end and a 70-year-old on the other end, and you're not making it too easy when it's spoken in if it was at law school they'd call it legalese, but you don't get any comfort zone with the kids get impatient that they're they're not used to waiting for Nanny and Grampy to
Yep. Yeah, they feel like we should just know this stuff, like that we were born with this, unlike them, where they were born with this, and we're trying to learn it.
Well, that's it. We're a generation apart, and
right.
You're not making it easy for us when you get impatient and you get you're looking to learn as quickly as possible, but
yeah. Well, a lot of things too. So so to kind of break down some of that intimidation and maybe not having grandchildren always show you might be, there are searching on YouTube has some great what I'll call tutorials. So it's kind of like you can follow along and practice. I know there's places like the local library or senior centers that offer trainings. I know I'm up here in Cambridge, and we have something called the Digital Navigator program where you can get foundational tech, and so you can just call in on a tech hotline, or you can come to those spaces and you can get some support. So I do believe there are some things down in the area in the South Shore there as well that exist in that. So I think thinking about some resources where, again, those aren't getting impatient, because, yes, the young folks, like I said, definitely feel we should know this information right off the top of our minds, right, and be able to function very quickly in this. And it can be very intimidating. It is another reason why some people have moved, and I have talked about some of these devices. And again, they do have their own risks, but some of the devices that also exist are like the Alexa Homes or the Google Homes. And what's really interesting is people can set them up so that you can do what's called drop-ins on people. I find it very interesting. I have friends who do this, right? They have the Alexa talking device where you're like, hi, Alexa, turn on my TV or turn on the lights, right? But what they do is they'll say, hey, drop in on my neighbor. And if your neighbor is set up to receive like a call and accept your information because they've downloaded the contact information, You can just talk back and forth through an actual speaker in your house. But as you say, it would require someone to come in because it can be a little confusing and very intimidating. So,
well, even the things that seem simple on the surface are not always as easy as hooking in 1, 2, 3, and you've got your magic television working. You've got your your service that'll turn the lights on and open the garage door, and
yep.
It's a lot to take in, and when you're of age and not comfortable with the technology to begin with. You have a good suggestion in talking to the folks at the Council on Aging or the
yep.
The library or that kind of thing. But you must still run into it. It can't be that we're the only ones that are
Oh no, it's all moving too fast. I think we all run into it, no matter the age. And I think it's just, here's what I always try to encourage people, right? And I try to remind people is, we are smarter than technology, right? We're the ones who created the technology. So I think for me, my statement has always been, we're not going to break anything, right? It's technology. We've created it. And so how do we use it? So, right, like I think the first step, Arthur, is really thinking about, naming the concerns, right? Like, hey, this is a truth, like, right? I'm not sure about this system, so how do I use it? And then thinking about changing, for helping, working with folks, it's about changing the language, right? Like understanding that, like, instead of saying this is an interface, right? So thinking about is an interface, or let's talk about, like, these are the buttons, right? So I always think about how do I break down, I teach a lot about audio engineering, and how do we break down the language we use so that it's relevant to the tools that you or I might use on an everyday basis. So sometimes it's thinking about, like even a telephone, right? Thinking about, okay, we've used handheld telephones to pick up and make calls. So thinking about, okay, there's now a video camera on my phone. How can I get that video to my grandchildren, or how can I use that, and changing that language in terms of how we communicate. And like I said, it happens all the time, and I'm learning technology all the time. Even when I think about all these social media apps, people, okay, I'm on the Facebooks, I'm on the Instagrams, but when, people start talking about the TikToks and doing all that, some of that's very foreign to me. Like I'm having to learn as I go, and it can be very intimidating. So I think, again, it's just acknowledging a lot of those feelings and being comfortable to have these conversations around technology is really, really important to think about. Like, how do we shift our mindset to understand that we're smarter than the technology, and it's just about learning the technology, and it's going to take practice, right? But there are certain things that do correlate and continue to maintain the same, right? Like when we see a microphone or the microphone symbol on a thing, it's talking about talking. If we think about camera, we're going to think about seeing. If we think about the red button, we're thinking about a red button as recording, and typically a red button means ending something. So, I think it's thinking about how do we shift our thinking as well, and we can talk about how we meet the kids. And I think just explaining to the kids, hey, I need you to set this up, and then maybe it's even writing out a 1, 2, 3 step-by-step guide for you to say, hey, these are the steps you're going to have to click to get to me. And then just practicing as well, and asking for that space to have the patience.
Well, that's good advice, and you talked me in off the roof, so I'm not ready to jump yet.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Well, we've held you up enough on Saturday morning, have we?
I love giving you guys these tech tips and sharing, because again, it can be, the word you said today was very true. Technology can be very intimidating. And, for my tech tip is really, we're smarter than the tech. So don't allow tech to intimidate us in a world where so much is intimidating, and, unfortunately, tech can be very dangerous too. So it's just remembering to maintain safety with technology.
Well, as I say, you talked me off the roof, and that's a good sign. So
Good.
we'll talk to you. We'll expect Paul back next week. So he's actually a guy of my generation that's taken to the computer in a pretty aggressive manner. He runs 3 businesses or 4 businesses, and he's got them all computerized, and he's got them so he can travel with his phone in his car, and he's an amazing character.
He is, and I think just again, part of that reminder was like he leaned into that intimidation and said, "Okay, how am I going to learn it?" and has surrounded himself by folks who know the technology to help him learn that technology. So, same with you. You've got this. It's not too late, and everyone out there who might be listening, like, it's never too late to learn new technology. You don't have to be an expert. The piece is learning just to use and use it for what your needs are, and it doesn't have to become your life, and it's just what suits your life for that moment. So that would, again, you're smarter than the tech.
Well, that's good to know. Well, Shelley Wolf of Global Media and the owner of Toolbox Entertainment and Vice President of Technology
Technology Leadership. Yep. For Pod Pro Entertainment.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, you're busy too.
Oh yes, they stay very busy. So, but we're always open to helping people. So if anybody has any need for tech tips, they can also reach out to info@podproentertainment.com.
That sounds good. That sounds like a Paul Solano address, and that's somebody you can count on to be at the other end of the phone when you need them.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you, and we'll see you next Saturday morning.
Sounds wonderful. Have a great show, and here's to this week's tech information.
Sounds good.
Take care.
Okay. So welcome back to the good folks here at WATD and the sponsor of this hour, which is Paul Ponders. Paul is brought to you by...
Arthur, let's take a break, and then you read that after, and you have your next guest on the phone is lined up. We're going to talk with Coach Al Finaro. So keep it right here for Paul Ponders. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Have you heard about Pembroke Collision? Price and quality don't often collide under the same roof. Not so at Pembroke Collision at 192 Manakesett Street in Pembroke. Pembroke Collision will work with you and your insurance company to get you back on the road in a safe and satisfactory vehicle. Put your trust in Ben Bastianelli and his crew at Pembroke Collision. Just call 781-293-4040 or find them on Facebook. Pembroke Collision, happy to work for you. Have you tried Bryanttville Pizza Kitchen? From antipasto to baked ziti, specialty gourmet burgers, over 30 different kinds of pizza, and that's steak and cheese. Come on in and they'll show you why they made a reputation as being the best steak and cheese sub in the area. There's nobody that puts it together like your friends at the Bryanttville Pizza Kitchen. Chicken wings and fingers and the famous flavors complement their stir-fry dinners. If subs and wraps aren't enough for your table tonight, expand into Greek and Caesar salads, maybe even a calzone. Anyway, it's all good at the Bryanttville Pizza Kitchen. And don't forget, invite them to your next catered event. They'll bring the food. Bryanttville Pizza Kitchen. Call them at 781-293-9857.
Five-time Hall of Fame inductee, President Dave Caiazzo from the National Italian American Sports Hall of Fame Massachusetts chapter invites you to its Hall of Fame induction ceremony at 1 p.m. on Sunday, October 5th at Anthony's of Malden. Congrats to Zavarian Brothers High School head football coach Al Finaro, past San Diego Padres farmhand Joe DiSarcina, and special Tony the Champ DeMarco Spirit Award recipient Catholic Memorial AD football coach John DiBiazzo. Please contact Paul at paulponders.com or President Dave Caiazzo at davekaipitching@gmail.com for more ticket information. Are you looking for fencing and outdoor products? Look no further than Northeastern Fence and Supply Corporation of Saugus. When owner Mike Payne's customers have been asked why they chose Northeastern Fence, many said that there were 3 deciding factors: customer respect, excellent customer service, and quality products. I say that you need to add in 70-plus years of a family-run business with truly experienced sales and installation teams. So if you are in the market for fences for your kids, dogs, and ugly neighbors, please call Mike Payne and his crew at 781-233-3324 or email mike@northeasternfence.com.
Paul Ponders continues on 95.9 WATD. Once again, Paul Solano.
I was going to sing the next verse myself. I was going to sing it alone. Do we have the coach on the line?
Yeah, coach is ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I actually have met the coach and just realized that earlier today that we broadcast some games out of Zavarian Brothers on WATD, and the coach has been very successful. Coach Alfanaro, how are you?
Very well, sir. Thank you for having me.
Well, we're all excited about the October 5th date and being at Anthony's. And I'm actually a Malden kid originally, so you go into my hometown and you'll get good service and good food at Anthony's. So they picked a good spot.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Now, how's your relationship, or what is your relationship with Dave Caiazzo, who's a pitching genius as far as we were concerned? And John DiBiase is he coaching now at Catholic Memorial, or is he?
Yes, he is. Yes, I've known Coach DiBiase for a number of years. When he was, on a competitive level, when he was at Everett High School, I was the started off first as a defensive coordinator at Zavarian, and we played them for a number of years. And I became the head coach at Zavarian 1 year prior to him leaving Everett and going to Catholic Memorial as the head coach. So we've continued that, competitive relationship on Friday evenings or Saturday afternoons. And the fact that he's being honored that day as well, I think is great. I'm very humbled to be honored, and to be going in with someone of Coach DiBiase's stature is also quite humbling to me, because he has a resume that is beyond reproach in the state as far as football, and also he was a very, very good basketball coach.
Yes, at Everett High School.
Yes.
Yeah, he was a great rival of ours, being a Malden kid, and we enjoyed a great rivalry with John DiBiase and his father at the time, who was very active as well.
Right. Yeah, I believe John had 300 wins in basketball, and he has 300 wins in football. And I can't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure there's not many other people in this state who have done that. There may be someone else. I'm not up on that, but that's pretty lofty, win percentages and total wins in both those sports.
Well, the only name that comes to me in terms of the football possibilities would be Armin Colombo, and that'd be pretty good company to be in.
Absolutely, yes. Coach Colombo had over 300 wins. He did.
Yeah. So does this mean you've got to put a speech together and get all your ducks in a row so you don't leave out your next door neighbors? Good coaching assistants, because everybody's got an opinion. You should throw more.
Yeah.
You should throw more. You should run more. You should do something with special teams, and everybody's an expert.
Well, that's the thing. You know, I was our freshman played this morning. We have a bye this week, but we're fortunate enough that we hooked up our freshman team with Andover. And on the second play of the game, we tackled their boy, hit the ground, the ball came out, and half the crowd stood up and started yelling that it was a fumble. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, relax. That's why the officials are there. You know, I mean, and I will never say it's only freshman football because that's poor to say that. But come on, it's 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning, and it was clearly done. It wasn't even close. And I guess that's the good side. You want to have passionate fans. But then when you hear, oh, come on, get some glasses, I'm like, whoa, thank goodness I'm not there in an official capacity. I'm there as a fan. I'm just, sitting watching. And our assistant athletic director turned around and looked at the crowd, and they simmered down. But you're right. People are they're entitled to their own opinion. I just wish that sometimes they wouldn't voice it and they would just keep their opinions to themselves. I've been fortunate here that our parents, at least I haven't. And that's the beautiful thing about football, right? We have a track and then a fence and then the stands. And so they're not right on top of us. I don't necessarily hear, and I'm sure there are many, certain words that are thrown in my direction. That's okay. I understand that, it may not be the right thing, in the world, but do that to me, do that maybe to my assistants, but no parent would ever have the right to say something about another young man on our team. I wouldn't appreciate it if they said it about their own son either, but that's not their place.
Yeah, that's right. And you've got to take a lot of criticism as a coach and a head coach in particular in a successful program like you have, that if you don't win it every year, there's something wrong. And
yeah, oh sure.
My dad coached in Malden at high school basketball, and he was he he'd give you a short answer or a 2-word answer or something like that. But he was told when he won the Tech Tourney in 1964, he said, you did a great coaching job. And he said, I have the secret. I've got good players.
Truer words have not been spoken. Good players make good coaches.
That's right.
And when people want to say, "Oh, geez, you need to win it," they think it's easy to win. Some people, the uneducated, and that might not be a great term, but they don't really understand how difficult it is at the high school level to go out and remember, these are young men between 14 and 18 years of age,
and they make mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. So to get to even be in a state tournament, whether it's a Tech tournament, which I'm very knowledgeable of in the later years in the 60s. I was only a little baby in '64, but all the way into the late '60s and in the '70s, that was the premier tournament in the area. And in football specifically, it's difficult to get to the final game, and then to win it is a whole another endeavor that is difficult. And as you said, these are young people that make mistakes, and I'll never put that on a young person. As a head coach, hey, all the blame falls on me. No credit to me. Credit to my assistants. Credit to our players. But if there's something wrong, point the finger right at me. I'll take that. That's my job.
That's right. Well, you certainly have the coaching philosophy down, and you've got good company that you're keeping in terms of, other members. And I'm familiar with a lot of the names. I didn't realize that this was coming up on October 5th.
Right.
Paul had left me a briefing on the event, but I didn't know that it would be people that, the Hasselbecks, come to mind, and you certainly come to mind, and you've had a successful program, and I hope you have many years of success in the future.
Well, so do I, and I've had some great mentors here at Xaverian. The previous head coach that I coached with as his defensive coordinator for over 23 years, Charlie Stevenson, who's also like myself, a Xaverian grad.
And a legend.
Him, yes, absolutely. He's in the Hall of Fame, the Massachusetts Football State Coaches Football Hall of Fame. George McCabe, who was my high school coach, another Hall of Fame member. And even prior to Coach McCabe, a gentleman, Armin Caraviello, who then went and coached at Medford High School and won a state championship, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he did, playing at Harmel Stadium.
That's right. The Medford Malden games. Talk about tradition, the Thanksgiving and the crowds and how many, they're over 100 years, I believe.
144, something like that.
That's incredible. It's incredible. And so that has been a cultural thing through the school here, and some of the same ideals and the same methods that Coach Caraviello used and was passed on and through. And you know what? If you have something that works, why would you want to change it? Right? And so, you try and do that. And I was fortunate enough to go when Greg was inducted into the Hall of Fame, and also one of our former players, Richie Capiello, who was a boxing promoter, and he's done numerous things, but one of his things is that Peter McNeely was one of his fighters in his stable years ago who fought Mike Tyson. And, the number of athletes that we've, again, fortunate, you mentioned the Hasselbecks, and to have all three, obviously Matt, and then to have, his son Henry play for me for 2 years, but Timmy, is Matt's brother, and Nate was also a very, very good football player, all played here. And great family. We lost Don, the dad, a few months ago, and Don was a great man, a great family, very family of faith, and never a Badinsky. I mentioned on the podcast that the number of pro players we've been fortunate to have them send their sons here, never once did a father show up at the door saying, "This is how you need to do things." Tim Fox used to sit up in the corner of the stands with the Boston Globe, and every break between the quarters and halftime, he'd read the paper because he didn't want people coming up and asking, "What do you think they should be doing?" Because they took the mindset, they're the coaches of this team. They know better because we're with their sons every day. Now, we'd ask advice. We're not dumb, right? We're going to ask advice of anybody who's played at the highest level, what they think, and we would take ideas. Now, what goes on at home at night, I would hope to heck that they weren't, parading the coaches, but that may or may not happen. But we were successful quite often with those young men because they were good. And as I alluded to before, when you have good players, all of a sudden you become a good coach.
Well, we're gonna wish you well. It's Coach Al Finaro of Xaverian Brothers High School in Westwood, and he's being inducted into the National Italian American Sports Hall of Fame in the Massachusetts chapter, and it's well deserved, and you're going to do us proud. So,
thank you so much.
We'll talk to you soon.
All righty. You have a great day now.
Okay.
Good. Bye-bye.
Hey, Tim, do we want to run commercial?
Yeah,
break?
let's take another break. We'll be right back.
Have you tried Brianville Pizza Kitchen? From antipasto to baked ziti, specialty gourmet burgers, over 30 different kinds of pizza, and that steak and cheese. Come on in and they'll show you why they made a reputation as being the best steak and cheese sub in the area. There's nobody that puts it together like your friends at the Briantville Pizza Kitchen. Chicken wings and fingers and the famous flavors complement their stir-fry dinners. If subs and wraps aren't enough for your table tonight, expand into Greek and Caesar salads, maybe even a calzone. Anyway, it's all good at the Briantville Pizza Kitchen. And don't forget, invite them to your next catered event. They'll bring the food. Briantville Pizza Kitchen. Call them at 781-293-9857. Have you heard about Pembroke Collision? Price and quality don't often collide under the same roof. Not so at Pembroke Collision at 192 Benekeset Street in Pembroke. Pembroke Collision will work with you and your insurance company to get you back on the road in a safe and satisfactory vehicle. Put your trust in Ben Bastianelli and his crew at Pembroke Collision. Just call 781-293-4040 or find them on Facebook. Pembroke Collision, happy to work for you.
Five-time Hall of Fame inductee President Dave Caiazzo from the National Italian American Sports Hall of Fame Massachusetts chapter invites you to its Hall of Fame induction ceremony at 1 p.m. on Sunday, October 5th at Anthony's of Malden. Congrats to Xaverian Brothers High School head football coach Al Finaro, past San Diego Padres farmhand Joe DiSarcina, and special Tony the Champ DeMarco Spirit Award recipient Catholic Memorial AD football coach John DiBiazzo. Please contact Paul at paulponders.com or President Dave Caiazzo at davecai.pitching@gmail.com for more ticket information. Are you looking for fencing and outdoor products? Look no further than Northeastern Fence and Supply Corporation of Saugus. When owner Mike Payne's customers have been asked why they chose Northeastern Fence, many said that there were 3 deciding factors: customer respect, excellent customer service, and quality products. I say that you need to add in 70-plus years of a family-run business with truly experienced sales and installation teams. So if you are in the market for fences for your kids, dogs, and ugly neighbors, please call Mike Payne and his crew at 781-233-3324 or email mike@northeasternfence.com.
Paul Ponders continues on 95.9 WATD. Once again, Paul Solano.
Walk like a man. How many times have we been told that, Tim?
I don't know. I haven't been told that too much. I walk the way I want to walk, and no one complains. So
There you go.
yep.
Well, that was nice having the coach. I actually know him from our days of WATD football.
All right, there you go.
So-
Very good.
Yeah, I had interviewed him at one time several years ago. But he's a real gentleman, and he's a good coach, obviously a successful coach. And Dave Piazzo grew up in my neighborhood. He's one of the members of the Hall of Fame, and he was a kid who we used to talk about hitting the ball out of Amherst Park, and he could hit it over the fence, which was an accomplishment most of us didn't have. But he hit one, and like the Ted Williams stories, they get better with age. But he hit one that hit the apartment building across the street.
Oh boy.
Yeah, he was quite a player.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah. So we have Josh Kraft. He's withdrawing. He said he's suspending his campaign. That's another way of saying I'm withdrawing so that I can raise some money still and keep my name out there. But he's going to take a smacking from Mayor Wu. She's a master of manipulating the press, so I think she'll win handily. We've got about 5 minutes to play.
4.
4. Okay. We've got a reminder of the 50th class reunion with 145 attendees expected. That is the class of 1975. That is at Malden High, and you can still get tickets if you want to take the last minute jump to buy a ticket and see some old friends, and maybe some old friends that look younger than they did when they were in school. Anyway, we'll talk more next week with Paul about the death penalty and the loose, usage of handguns, and there's got to be a way to take on the people who think you settle arguments with handguns, or in this case rifles. Senator Mark Kelly, who is a Democrat, has called for this type of legislation all along, and he's going to be found out to be right, I think. We have an issue in Boston on rent control that we were going to get to, but we won't have time to get to it tonight. You'll have, my 2 cents worth that it's insanity to get involved in, trying to run the marketplace. And if you remember the Boston under rent control, there were many an ugly house to be purchased because they don't encourage you to put money into well, Tim, that sounds like
Yeah, finish your thought. We're wrapping up here.
okay. We were talking about rent control, and just my words are simple on this, and that is that if you're voting for rent control in Boston and you're a single to 3-family house, you've got to be insane to support it, because it's no incentive to do anything good with your property. And Previties, one of our new sponsors, all right, let's call it a day. Stay tuned for Ron Dwyer and the Memories. Ron is the Grand Poobah of oldies, and we have somebody who wants to meet him. So we're going to take 2 minutes and through the studio and give a thrill to 2 people.